Hello, welcome to City Daily. My name is Ash, and just for a few minutes, I wanted to share with you some things that I've been reflecting on recently. I've been thinking quite a bit about the way that we communicate with one another. When I say we, I don't just mean yourself and myself, but I suppose as a part of the culture in the UK, the way that we interact, the way that we communicate, and what that looks like. And as I've thought about that, it's kind of got me down a little bit, to be honest. As I've thought about oftentimes, not just in the world of politics, but generally, oftentimes our communication with each other can actually be quite mean and quite disrespectful. It's almost become the standard way of communicating is just to be dishonouring and disrespectful of other people. And it's something that's got me down quite a bit. And it actually made me think back to a few years ago. I used to I've worked in many coffee shops and cafes in my time. I've also been the other side, as someone who's enjoyed a coffee or two. And thinking back to my time working in coffee shops, one of the interesting things is people are different, aren't they? But I noticed that there were some people who would come in, and maybe it's just because they were particularly busy on that day, they had things to do, but it was almost like they didn't even recognize or appreciate the fact that the person in front of them was a person. All they saw in a barista was someone who's going to get my coffee to me, someone who's going to give me my caffeine fix, and not even looking into your eye, not really appreciating or respecting you as a person. It's kind of straight in. This is what I want. Can I get it quickly? Maybe you might get a please, potentially a thank you at the end, but that wasn't always the case. And I suppose that's just another example, isn't it? It's maybe not being directly disrespectful or directly dishonoring, but it's more just being dismissive, not really appreciating a person for being a person. So as I said, I've got a little bit down about this recently, thinking, where on earth do we go from here? How do things improve? And I actually thought back to a little while ago, probably about a year ago, when the mayor of Bristol, Marvin Rees, came and did an interview for us as a church. And one of the things that he talked to us about was raising the level or the standard of public discourse. I think he was essentially saying to us that as Christians, as followers of Jesus, there is a sense in which we can lead that conversation. We can model something different. We can model something positive. So I thought back to Marvin Rees, and then recently, just a few days ago, actually, I listened to a podcast. It's a podcast called Truth's Table, really good podcast, and in it the people who are leading the podcast were talking about honouring in the Christian tradition, what it looks like to actively honour one another, and it just made me think. It's a word that we don't often, I certainly don't often use particularly much, but I think particularly in a Western or UK culture, the word or the concept of honour, we might feel a little bit sort of uncomfortable with. It just feels a little bit different to what we're used to. But this concept of honor is significant, and it's important, and is held in high regard in many other parts of the world. But I think more importantly, I think it's a biblical concept to honor people. And just along those lines, I thought back to someone who modelled it really well, and that's the Apostle Paul. And I'm amazed whenever I read Paul's letters. There's always really rich and deep theology, really rich and deep truths about who God is. But in the midst of all that stuff, like, Paul always seems to find it really important that he honors people. It's not just these are things that you need to know and need to hear. He always takes the time to almost kind of just put people on a platform for a little bit and shine a light on them. Not saying that they're better or more important than God, but he actually works really hard at honouring people. And a really good example of this is in a letter of Romans. Some have said it's the greatest letter ever written. Really, again, dense with doctrine and theological truth. But at the end of Romans, Paul basically just has a whole section where he is honouring people. And it's quite likely he didn't write this letter with his own hand. He probably dictated it to someone. And I can imagine that off the back of all of this amazing truth about Jesus and what he's done, Paul's heart is overflowing, and he just starts talking about people. He just starts honouring people. And I'm actually going to read that last section of Romans just to give us a feel for what it's like and what Paul does. So this is from Romans chapter 16. And Paul says this: I commend to you our sister Phoebe, a deacon of the church in Centria. I ask you to receive her in the Lord in a way worthy of his people, and to give her any help she may need from you, for she has been the benefactor of many people, including me. Greet Priscilla and Aquila, my co-workers in Christ Jesus. They risked their lives for me. Not only I, but all the churches of the Gentiles are grateful to them. Greet also the church that meets at their house. Greet my dear friend Epenetus, who was the first convert to Christ in the province of Asia. Greet Mary, who worked very hard for you. Greet Andronicus and Junia, my fellow Jews who have been imprisoned with me. They are outstanding among the apostles, and they were in Christ before I was. Greet Ampliatus, my dear friend in the Lord. Greet Urbanus, our co-worker in Christ, and my dear friend Stachys. Greet Apelles, whose fidelity to Christ has stood the test. Greet those who belong to the household of Aristobulus. Greet Herodion, my fellow Jew. Greet those in the house of Narcissus who are in the Lord. Greet Tryphena and Tryphosa, those women who work hard in the Lord. Greet my dear friend Persis, another woman who has worked very hard in the Lord. Greet Rufus, chosen in the Lord, and his mother, who has been a mother to me too. Greet Asyncritus, Phlegon, Hermes, Patrobus, Hermas, and the other brothers and sisters with them. Greet one another with a holy kiss. All the churches of Christ send greetings. And then even later on he says this: Timothy, my co-worker, sends his greetings to you, as do Lucius, Jason, and Sosipater, my fellow Jews. I, Tertius, who wrote down this letter, greet you in the Lord. Gaius, whose hospitality I and the whole church here enjoy, sends you greetings. Erastus, who is the city's director of public works, and our brother Quartus send you their greetings. So Paul has a lot to say about people, and it's not, I think for Paul, it's not kind of either or. It's not, either you honour God or you honour people, but it's almost part of the package deal. We honour people because people are made in the image of God. We honour people because often the way that God blesses us is through other people. So I just wanted to leave that with you guys today, and just, I suppose I was sharing a bit of my journey of being a little bit discouraged about the way that we often communicate with one another, but ultimately being encouraged when I come back to what I see there in Paul, what I see in Jesus, what I see in the Bible, what I see through the church, through the ages. That honour is at the heart of who we are and what we do. And I just want to encourage us. I'm trying to encourage myself to be better at this, and just say, actually, this is an important thing. This is a really important thing for us to do, is to honour and to encourage those who are among us, because all people are important. All people are made in the image of God. Well, guys, it's been good to be with you today. I'm sure I'll see you again sometime soon. See ya.